Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Virgo channel. I hope everyone's having a good morning so far. Or maybe it's the afternoon where you are or the evening. I hope it's a good day. So I was meditating before I came on and I said, what am I going to start with? And Spirit said, a lot of people stuck in grief. A lot of people, get stuck in grief when a relationship doesn't work out. It's not just death. Anything that we mourn creates grief, right? So when we're in a situation with a person that we love, but just can't seem to make the relationship work out, there's grief. So, I wanted to start today's reading, not just with what's going on in your life? What do you need to know for today, for 2026? There's a lot of things that we need to learn, especially when we are changing and when we're transforming. And hopefully, we're doing that if we have a lot of spiritual blocks. If we didn't like what transpired in 2025, right? So, in order to change that, we need to change. So, I wanted to start with a spiritual thing about grief, only about 2, 3 minutes long. So, don't worry, just to create awareness because you have to understand the energy that you're dealing with. And all energy that's shame, grief, victimization, any lower energy creates fragmentation. And fragmentation will create habits and behaviorisms that block you, but also attach negative spirits. We are spiritual beings having human experiences. So, spirits that are negative attachments and incarnates are a real thing. People don't believe it, but whenever you see a person that gets so angry and they're stuck in anger to the point that they'll take a gun out and shoot somebody, over the fact that they cut them off on the highway, that's not normal. People that take it to that extent, people that don't let it go, people that want to control. And we also see these people that have these negative spirits when they continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. My father got cancer 8 times. He had a negative spirit 8 times. And that's not even talking about towards the end, that it was really 13 times, not to mention upper and lower back surgery, 2 hip replacements. That's a negative spirit. That is not just your mind. Over time, we become spiritually sick because if we don't understand how to heal ourselves from a spiritual level, then our subconscious is what's running the show. Those spiritual blocks are there, and that's what makes us feel, because we all have a God part of self, and that's the intuition that tells us, again, through the feeling, claircognizance and clairsentient, which is, I feel like there's something wrong. I don't feel like I'll ever be able to date. I don't feel like it's all like this. That's spiritual warfare. When your environment, your perceptions are like, I really don't see because I keep dealing with the same situation. It's like, but understand, again, we're spiritual being having human experiences. So grief is an energy that is spiritual, and people don't realize that it's spiritual because it profoundly challenges our sense of self and the world, focusing introspection, transformation, and a search for meaning beyond the physical connection. you know it's to help us find a deeper interconnectedness with a greater purpose. That's why these spiritual relationships actually happen, believe it or not. When you are in a relationship with someone toxic, that there's a lot of grief, it makes you again go inward and say, well, there's got to be something better than this. There has to be something better than this. And there is, and that's the whole point. Spirit says, you know, it often through rituals, questioning faith, and developing profound compassion and resilience is a journey that pushes us past material understanding into the metaphysical, revealing vulnerability, inner strength, and spiritual growth. And it always brings spiritual growth. So today I just wanted to say that, we know that our words are spells, right? We use them for affirmations, we use them. So if you feel like you are stuck in the energy of grief, and like to the point that it has a strong hold on you where you just can't help but to keep ruminating over it over and over and over and over and over again. And the rumination, by the way, is the reptilian mind's way of saying, I want to find a solution. My job is to keep us safe, and I don't find a solution. And understand those people that you're connected to that are karmic love to keep people stuck. They don't want to give anything, but they create the emotional connection to keep you stuck. So Spirit says, say this prayer. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. That's Psalms 34:18. Every time you say that, every time you feel like you're ruminating, say that prayer. It'll eventually break that stronghold that it has on you, because you don't want to stay in a place of grief, especially, first of all, if someone's putting you in that energy, you definitely want to be like, no, you don't have that much power over me, first of all. That's that you got to take your power back. Second of all, you can't create any type of abundance. You can't like move forward. And that's the whole point, that the person puts the stronghold on you. They don't really want to give anything, but they're like, well, I'm going to sit around and wait on it, which is the most disrespectful, because by the time that they would actually come back into your life, it's not like they learned who you are and how to treat you. They didn't put the time in. So that's why I wanted to start today off with grief, because grief is not just about losing someone, it's about being stuck in an energy that just isn't working. So I also wanted to clear your energy before with a little tuning fork. Hear that high vibration? Sometimes that if the vibration is annoying to you, you know you need it. I had one lady that could not listen to the sacral chakra singing bowl in a singing bowl meditation. She actually ran out. I was like, I can't take the sound. Like she was like crazy. And you could tell she had a very bad second chakra imbalance. The higher the vibration, the higher the chakra. So, these angel tuning forks, they actually tap into the third eye chakra and the crown chakra, which the crown chakra is connected to God, your angels, Jacob's ladder, the all the spiritual realm, which you have power over. You don't you have that power, I should say. You don't have power over, but you have that power by tapping into your spiritual sovereignty, that God actually gave you that supernatural power. But you have to put the energy towards something in order to actually see something manifest. And that's the whole point with these spiritual relationships. They try to take you off your path. When you look at things from a bigger perspective, you understand before that there's your relationships with anyone, and there's supposed to be the relationship you have with God, because the relationship you have with God is the relationship that you have with yourself, because God's inside of you as a gift of the Holy Spirit. So when you're giving of yourself and growing yourself, you treat yourself better, because anything that you invest in, right? A lot of people look to invest in other people thinking that that's going to give them that emotional connection. And it's because, hey, they're in a job that they don't like, that they, just not happy in their life. So understand that it's the spiritual imbalances that really do make us feel as if we need something. Now, I've been starting off the readings also with looking at just you, nothing else. And then we will look at the connection with your person. But the reason why is because when you see what you need for 2027, you'll see how by not having whatever it is that you need to integrate or heal, then is actually affecting the relationship, because your relationship is a reflection of you. Just understand you're usually not getting a nice version of you. You're getting the wounded part of you, what needs to be cleared. And that's not because this person's doing it, it's whatever they're triggering inside of you to make you look at, which, again, it's all to help revert your energy back to the energy of unconditional love, which is your God-given energy. And when you're in that energy, you attract everything of that energy. It's when we feel like we can't. That's why I said, let me look at, just start now the readings by looking at just you. What do you need? What do we need to look at? What do we need to do? Well, that was just like too damn many. Sorry. It was like half the deck. Half the deck. Now you may need a lot of stuff, you know? If you've been in one bad relationship after another bad relationship and grew up in a family that made you feel inadequate, not good enough, well, those wounds are there, darling. You know, it's the environment that you grow up in that you create habits and behaviorisms that set the stage for your relationships straight down the line. But the most important relationship, again, is a relationship that you have with yourself, because that's the relationship you have with God. And that is what gives you the supernatural power. So Spirit's saying it's like a lot of times a large part of the problem is that. Okay, whatever tools, skills, and abilities you need to accomplish your life's purpose are actually available to you. You have everything that you need. You're the magician, is what Spirit's saying. So you might be like in a job or like in a situation that you just feel like, I don't have enough. I'm missing something. Something's not working. It's like there was a deficit where God says, I don't make broken things. So if you're stuck in a mindset that is not working, is that you have to try something different. Don't get stuck in stupid where we keep trying to do the same thing or we don't do anything at all. Spirit's saying it's like you have it. When you fully access your inner being, you will possess all the power of the infinite creator being. And that's what I was saying just before. So I don't need to be redundant. You know, it's that. So how do you access that? Well, Spirit says, well, you got to get out of the mind chatter. If I'm telling you that the third eye is blocked because we had to take out the angel tuning fork, Spirit's saying you're a little bit blocked. So you have to do meditation. You have to do, and not just any meditation, the Silva Ultra Mind method. Why? Because you have to train your mind to get back to the theta level of the brain. The world is not programmed that way. You're in the, you know, logical, analytical mind. You're not in that rest and peaceful, you know, especially if we're stressed out. It takes us further away from who we are. So Spirit says daily practice. You got to start with doing the Silva Ultramind method. You have to then maybe take a walk. You know, again, walking meditation might be better for you. And that's just because you get ideas. You open up that third idea because you begin to daydream. And Spirit's saying there's a little bit of lack of that. And then grounding. If your third eye is blocked, then you're not grounded enough, because you can't open up your third eye unless you're actually in your body. So Spirit's saying it's like you don't do anything that's different. You know, the way that we do things that are different is that we join things or we participate in the community or we know what's going on in the community. There's a sense that you're like cut off from that and be like, why do I want to do that? And Spirit says, because you make relationships and because a world opens up. You know, a lot of people, when they know that they're dying, what they do is they begin to really live life. And they have the best life within that 2 months. But the whole time that they were alive, they didn't live. You know, it's almost like you won't do it unless, like, oh, unless I have to. But how many times have you had to join a class and you joined it, and you didn't really want to join? It's like, oh, fuck, got to go to this place. And then you go and you make the friendships and you get to see, you know, and sometimes you hate the class, don't get me wrong, but it's about the connection. Spirit's saying there's a lack of emotional connection to people. So, of course, you can't see out of your third eye. You only see that person. And Spirit says remaining lighthearted during stressful times helps you keep the flow. Understand what's your stress. like mechanism. What do you do? Spirit says most people have a hobby, they have an interest, they connect with other people that they're friends with. So you're getting emotionally fulfilled. There's a sense that you're not getting emotionally fulfilled. And so Spirit says, be willing to stand alone. And because sometimes you have to teach people exactly what you're made of and that you don't need them. If you're in my life, I want you, but I don't need you. Those who are meant to stand with you will remain. Sometimes people like to think that you need them, especially if you say, I have friends, but I have like three, and so Spirit's saying it, or you have one that you just hang out with. Well, that person begins to think that they know you better than you know yourself. They begin to test the limits with respect because understand if you're leaning on them so much because emotionally you're not getting fulfilled anywhere else, then you're like, all of a sudden, you're like, what the fuck is with that fucking person? I'm going to smack the shit out of them. Who the hell do they think that they are? That's supposed to be my best friend. And Spirit says, well, like how did you participate? I don't know. I was a good friend. I was calling every day. Every day I was calling, sometimes 10 times a day. And Spirit says, well, there you go. You know, it's like not everyone's coming from your level of consciousness. Not everybody needs as much emotional, whatever it is, like support, especially if you never got it. And I'm not saying that you need it a lot, but maybe that person is so used to living detached, any little bit's a lot. You understand what I'm saying? So we're not coming from their level of consciousness, and then we take it personally, and then we reflect how that makes us feel. And Spirit says it has nothing to do with you. That blockage has something to do with you, but their behavior has nothing to do with you. That's their shit. Let them have their shit. Eventually, they'll come back. But your way is to stand damn alone, not to say, "Oh, what's the matter? Can I fix this? Can I do?" No, do not do that. It's like, but they made me feel it. Spirit says, don't. You teach a person. Again, like you want to do whatever you do, go do it, because I don't need you. If you're in my life, I want you in my life. There's a difference. I get to promote, hire, and fire all the time. I'm the CEO. You're the CEO. What is truly best for you is best for everyone involved, is what Spirit is saying. And so, actually, by you doing it, that gives that person like what's best, that they need to look at their behavior. They need to say, why is this person taking that stance without having the conversation? A lot of times we're told, have the conversation. You don't need to have the conversation sometimes. It's like everybody knows what they did. So what, you're going to sit there and be like, so you did this, I'm waiting for an apology. Any day now, that person's going to say, fuck off. Apology. Shove it up your ass. Because whatever, you know what? We were eating dinner and you wiped your mouth with a napkin the wrong way. And that's why I'm pissed off. I mean, you don't know why the person's mad because you might think it's the most ridiculous thing. So, maybe you expressed your opinion and that person, like, whatever it is, Spirit's saying, it's like you got to teach people about respect. It's like it's a big theme for 2026. Is what Spirit's saying. And maybe you grew up in an environment that didn't allow you to do that. Spirit's saying, ground yourself, do more exercise, get a better connection to the physical body. When we get overstimulated, it's because we're overthinking, and then with too much thought creates too much emotion, creates overstimulation, which creates that freeze. So then we feel like, oh, I really wanted to say this, but I forgot, or, Spirit's saying it's a way to like disconnect from your mind. It's like you also train your nervous system, like I said, through the breath. The triggers that sympathetic nervous system to shut off. So if you find that you have anxiety, depression, helps you get back into the moment. Trauma will help you do that, because these are like problems that sound like it's because you get overstimulated, like you don't really like a ton of people, and you get comfortable. And Spirit's saying it's like part of that is because there's a lack of connection to the body, because there was a lack of support growing up. But you need to create the support. Uh, you need to reparent yourself, because anyone that comes into your life, if you're giving too much, which that's what it was referring to, almost like you gave too much of yourself. And that could have been too giving, always available for that person, always whatever it was that you taught that person, and in a way, then you don't get the support that you need. So, and Spirit saying more focus on yourself. Again, nutrition, and yes, doing things within your community. So it means join things, participate, because how else are you gonna meet people? Did you go into the local bar to meet someone? Understand the quality of a person, what they're doing, because you may say, well, I don't really know what I want to do. It's like I have this job, but I don't really have, entertainment, fun, passion. That's part of it. Passion we have to go out and find, and you don't know what that is until you actually experience it. And Spirit says, how is that supposed to happen? Part of it is listening to yourself, what you want. And that's important even in relationships, because you can set boundaries. And Spirit says, otherwise, like you'll repeat the same thing in 2026 that you repeated in 2025. And you'll say, all I was a nice person. I didn't do anything. I did not deserve whatever it was that I got. And Spirit says, yes. But, that's what it is. Spirit saying, now don't deprive yourself of the simple pleasures in life, but to pursue your goals, find balance. But it's okay to say no. So Spirit's just saying, set the appropriate boundaries. That's for today. That's for, again, 2026. Now let's see. What is the underlying energy? Where's your person? What's going on with that? And who knows? Boundaries are a big thing. Is this person coming back? Or, do you not want to be with them? Let's see. I have a bunch of cards going different ways. Okay. We're just going to take a peek and see, what does this person think right now? Like, where are they now? Not even anything. I want to work things out. Boundaries. That's why it's okay to say no. Secrets and deceptions. I want to pull one more. Fights, arguments, conflicts. This person wants to work things out, but because of their lies and their secrets and their deceptions, like from the past, they're like, they don't want an argument, and they already know that if they come back, that there's going to be like this argument, and because it brings it back to them feeling like they're not good enough, because they know that they sabotage the connection. I wanted to also, which I should have pulled before, but I'm going to pull now, which is your wounds. Because like what we know is that you need boundaries. And I felt like someone was coming back, because that's why I'm like, why are we, talking about this boundaries and knowing our worth as much, friends? Where's people, because here it is, growing up, we're only going to pull two, the focal point, which is emotional repression. So not being able to speak your truth, not being able to communicate how you feel, not feeling safe enough to do that. That was one thing. Like fearing vulnerability, resulting in internalizing stress and unresolved emotional feelings. So again, putting you in this place of stuck, which is what we knew that person did before, that they didn't give anything, that they kept you stuck. Coping mechanisms. So we'll rely on distracting substances or behaviorisms to avoid facing the emotions, which is actually what happens. So you might do anything from drink too much to smoke too much pot to shop too much to deal with your stress. And spirit says, so like pushing it down because it's like, I don't know how to deal. And spirit says, well, that energy is still there. And if it's this type of energy, well, we already know that a person that feels this way, I'm not good enough, and this way, and they're coming back, well, you better have boundaries. I mean, we don't even really need to look and see what this person did, but we're going to look and see what the spiritual connection is because we already know that this person didn't do right. But what's the whole point? Why are you coming back? What do you want? What is the whole spiritual connection? Because if we can't understand it on a logical level, right? I need to be strong in who I am before I can merge my energy with yours in the 3D. I'm afraid I can lose myself in this relationship. So I feel like on a level, this person is not strong spiritually at all. At all. Like again, that they are going to lose themselves in that, 3D connection where I feel like you can lose yourself also. Because if this person is not spiritually strong, that means they're immature, and that means that you need to be this person's mommy, that you need to give this person direction. And so there's a sense that they highlight that with inside you, that people come into your life and they're able to overstimulate you, they're able to take your energy, they're able to, so, and especially a person that you have feelings for, obviously, it affects you too much is what spirit's saying. That is because, hey, you didn't get what you needed growing up. And so spirit's saying, he's like this person saying, please send me energetic support. Use the frequency of love to uplift me because I need your help. This person is stuck in another relationship. I say that because the next card was, my heart is with another right now. I have to finish this karmic contract in order to be free. Yeah, so what this person wanted was to, I feel like, have their cake and eat it too, kind of like be connected to somebody else that they didn't really have feelings for, but it was comfortable while still having this spiritual connection with you. And that's a no-go right there. That's a no-go because most likely you would have never got into the relationship with this person if they were honest. They've been given their power away to people in their life, and now they're creating boundaries. So I feel like, again, this person thought, I'm going to still help this person out that I'm in a connection with, but I don't feel like the person that they were in the connection with knew that they wanted to leave. I don't think that that person knew that they had feelings for someone else, but I do feel like the person that's connected to you felt obligated to help that person. But my point is, if they want to be with you, they should have been obligated to give to you. And that is the issue, like I said, which is why this person doesn't know. I don't know if I can come towards you. I know we're going to get into an argument, you're going to call me a liar, you're going to call me this, and all of it's true. That's the whole thing, is that this person didn't ever wanted to stay with that person. Now they're stuck with that person because you detached from them. That's why they're like, oh, like if you show me a sign, if you like do anything, you cut your energy off completely from this person. Like, you chose, go ahead, stay where you're at, but you're not going to be like talking to me. You're not going to be. I don't know. Did someone text? I'm just going to click on this because it's like I see one. Nope. All right. So that's what we see. So that's why this person's afraid. And so I'll contact you when I'm able to. Right now, my life is too complicated to bring you into it. But know that I do want to talk to you. Yeah, because they're in a shit show. They didn't want to really, they thought that they were gonna like help this person out and then leave, I feel like. And then what happened is they got manipulated. They got manipulated into staying, and there was also there was an emotional connection. I'm not going to lie. But it was more like, you know, how you have an emotional connection to your mother, to your father, to your sister, to your brother, to like a friend that you're like, I don't really want to do that, but it's like they're making me do that, you know, like that. When you have a friend that is saying, come on, go to the club, go out, date that person, come along with me, and you just don't want to do it, but you feel obligated to do it. That's like this person with that karmic person. And I feel like that karmic was like, I don't really want you to leave. And this person was not strong enough. They had more of a loyalty to that person. And that is what the argument is. It's like, being mirrors for each other makes self-love so important. I wish I was there. Yeah. So this person saying like, well, you're pissed off. Every time that they feel like you're pissed off, they begin to get pissed off because they're like, well, you don't understand. What am I supposed to just leave? Like if they have kids, they have this, they have that. It's like, you're like, I don't give a fuck what your situation was. It's like you didn't handle that properly because you were not planning on handling it properly. And that's what you know, because from the beginning, it's like if you made it easy, they would have never left. You know, it's like this person would have like stayed there and they didn't weren't looking at your feelings at all. And which is what the problem is, which is like, which they're like, well, you need to look at it from my point of view. You don't need to look at it from their point of view. You need to look at it from your point of view, because if they were honest right from the get-go, you most likely wouldn't have even entertained this. And that's what they want. I care about you even when I act like I don't. I'm hiding my true feelings because I don't want to be vulnerable. Yeah, because this person already knows that you're probably going to tell them to go F off. You know, it's like you made the wrong decision. You decided to stay where you're at. At the end of the day, it was up to you to choose. And that's what this person is like. They don't want to look at. They want to make it like, no, it was this person. No, that happened. No, it's like, no. You know, this person is like they feel like they're really not done with you. They're like, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to you. They just don't know where they are. They don't know where they are, like how, like, is it going to be today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year? I don't know, but I'm coming back. They're stuck in the situation that they don't want to be in. I feel like they got finagled, tricked a little bit. Part of it was emotionally manipulated. You know, they felt guilty to like help that person out. But again, they weren't looking at your feelings. And I feel like part of that was probably because they were like, you don't need it. Like, I have a feeling like you get punished for not expressing your feelings because that was a childhood wound, the suppression of your feelings. Like you eat it. Like it's like, okay, like it's not going to be my turn. I'll just skip. And so it was a way that you should have said something. But this person wanted you to, I feel like, say something also because, hey, then you're going to fight for me. There was a sense that they were not in this energy. Remember, if they're connected to someone that they don't really want to be with and they're living like imbalanced like that, then they like that a little bit of drama. They liked a little bit of whatever. So it was all of it. It wasn't one part of it. I want to see what happened. It's like I said, this person like wanted you to assume that, you know, again, and I feel like you're not the type of person that assumes anything. You're the type of person that's like, I look for detail. I look at when things don't make sense and things don't line up, and my intuition tells me, I begin to search, I begin to look. So what happened is you saw read between the lines because of how this person was acting, and they didn't do anything about it. You know, instead they were trying to keep it light. They were trying to keep it like, again, like they were trying to keep it like almost like playful, like I want to say almost like childish. Okay, like we're friends. They like, again, wanting to blur the lines a lot without saying, hey, we're in a relationship or we're this, that they're like, oh, I don't want to like label anything. I don't want to do it, any of that because, hey, they didn't really know what they wanted, but they wanted their cake and eat it too. So again, it goes back to the shady behavior that they don't want to really look at. Because I'm seeing, why did they do what they do? It's like, why didn't they just leave, that person? But I'm just feeling like it was emotional. And the thing is, it's again, yeah, it's like they had a hard time of moving on unless there was something new. And I feel like this person got away with a lot being with that karmic, like they could pretty much do whatever they want. So the actual moving on part and really they were inflexible to it. And the reason why is because they were really getting everything that they wanted at home. They just didn't have like a passion for that person anymore. And what happens with that is when there's a lot of disrespect. When two people are living comfortably like friends, which is kind of what I feel like. It was almost like the karmic and that person were like more like friends, like roommates, that there was an emotional connection to, but the relationship itself was rotted. And it was rotted because of disrespect, cheating, a lot of other things. So that's the thing. This person didn't really want to leave that situation. They were comfortable. And that's really what it is. So, and I feel like with you, your life, this person expected a little bit for you to struggle. I'm not going to lie. And that's not what happened. That's not what's happening. Your life is actually like everything that you've been working on once you got this person out of your life has gotten like better. Like things are happening for you. It's opened up energy. And I feel like that's triggering this person because they don't love that person that they're with. Remember, that person is more like, I get to do whatever I want. They're my mommy. They're my friend. But I don't want to like have sex with them. And that's like an intimacy issue. And that's like, I can have sex with people that I don't have the emotional connection to, but I keep it in the lust, the fantasy. And the reason why is because this person doesn't grow up. They don't grow up. They're stubborn. They're the part of them that's stubborn and they're not dependable. They're possessive, meaning they want everything their way. So there's someone that creates major intimacy problems because no one wants to be in a relationship with a one-sided person, and that's what you see there, like someone so they stayed in a connection with somebody that was stable. That was because they're not stable. They're not stable on an emotional connection or any way. So, and this is why this person is very stayed in an energy that was unpredictable, and there was like a 50-50 chance that they could leave because it's like, well, listen, I'm really yes, I love you, I have a connection to you, and I pretended to be this person with you. However, I'm really this person that is okay with living a double life because I have all the comforts of living at home, and that's what you see there. And so, but they don't love that person. So in order for their life to really be whole, they have to live compartmentalized. And so what it is it was like a codependent connection. And that's what I said. It's like that karmic clings a little bit too much, but it's the codependency where it's the dysfunction is okay over there. And this person's comfortable like that. You were just not comfortable like that. So and anybody else that would get into a relationship, by the way, with this person would not be comfortable with that. But I feel like they've never encountered like wanting to ever work things out or to fix things or to do things. That's the issue. This person is like confronted now with, I really have a connection. I want to just see again. Well, the problem is, I feel like because you see a lot. Now there's a part of you that's like, well, it's not that I don't have a connection to you, but I like it's hard for you to trust this person because it's like, well, you just did all that. So even though we had a deep connection where you did have a lot of passion for this person, they didn't choose you. They didn't think about you. So it ruined that kind of quality in like fantasy, like, and I don't want to say that it was fantasy. What I want to say is that it was like it was real, but this person shit all over the internet and the innocence of it. Because, and don't you think that that karmic knew exactly what they were doing? Because they're like, I'm comfortable. It's like if you leave, there goes my paycheck, there goes my security, there goes my, I don't care who you fuck, but you're not leaving. And this person was like, got tricked, but they also were comfortable. Now they're not comfortable because they're stuck with that person. But you're seeing everything now. And so what happened is it's like you like saw that this person was covering up. Like again, they're a poser, pretending to be someone that they're not. Pretty much. So this is why, you know, this person knows you're not really going to be able to let it go. It's going to linger. And this person also is going to have a real hard time explaining themselves. They want to come back and they want to just kind of come back and try and discover like each other like for the first time, like that didn't happen. And maybe you get swept away in romance, and that's the level that they are. And why? Because they stay connected to a piece of shit for a long time. And I say that because it's somebody that is like, I don't care who you fuck. You can fuck 1,000 people and then fuck me too. I don't care, but you're going to give me that money. That's why I say, because that person doesn't have an identity. They're more like a Jezebel spirit, someone that's like, I don't care. Like, but, and this person either didn't have, they were not innocent though. They're feeling it because, hey, when you detach and you're stuck with the Jezebel spirit, hey, there's a sense of, it doesn't feel good. But that's what the problem is. It's like this person has a lot of blocks. I want to pull from a deck that I haven't pulled to be like, okay, well, are they going to do anything? Are they going to fix it? They want to come back. Oh yeah, that's right. They're coming back. They don't know where it is, and that there's a lot of chaos in their life. Yeah, but I don't really feel like you're going to be with them by the time you come back. By the time that they come back, to be honest with you. I mean, you might. But I mean, I wish I could fix things between us. Again, this person is like, that's what their wish is. Um, please don't give up on me. So, like I said, this person is like, oh, and now I'm stuck with this person. I'm not happy with this person. I got to get out of this. But that karmic is like not making it easy. So, I mean, the best thing that we could do is say, well, I don't think you should be with that person, but you have free will. So I never predict the future. But what I will do is say, um, why did you attract this person into your life? What's the whole spiritual significance? And, if you know, integrate the spiritual lesson, will you meet somebody else? That's what's more important, and which I would like to see. And I'll tell you why, because I think it's this person's karma that they deserve it. Wow, these cards, I have two cards that don't belong in here. Okay. You know what I mean? Part of that is for them to suffer a little bit because they knew exactly what they were doing. Don't you kid yourself. And a person that knows exactly what they were doing, you can't trust. Because hey, they got comfortable, and once they get comfortable again, this is who they are. They don't think that there's a need to like fix anything, you know. So that's my problem with this person. Okay, so we say, what do you attract? Look, oppression, no physical, like that physical touch to me is emotional. That's what that symbolizes to me. And oppression obviously is like keeping you down and in a negative way. Obviously, the person's head, like, foot is on the person's head to the point that you have gifts. Spiritual gifts come from trauma a lot of times because we have to go into that alternative world in order to deal with the situation. And so you become highly sensitive, which spirit says yes. So that's a gift that also works like a curse because remember in the beginning of the reading, it was overstimulation, too much thought, too much emotion, and this person's coming back. And they, again, we don't know when they're coming back, but hey, they're going to come back emotionally charged, is what Spirit's saying. And so, overstimulation to the point that, you don't become like as grounded because there wasn't support growing up. Like, this is father, son, mother, daughter, whatever. It's like there was no support, there was no grounding. But it since to me it symbolizes more of a man on this, which the is masculine energy is all about being grounded, feeling supported, feeling loved, which that wasn't if emotionally you weren't getting anything. If anything, you were being suppressed. That to me is saying that. And so what winds up happening is you're not as grounded and you wind up dealing with all your like situations pretty much by yourself, because there really isn't that support. And so Spirit's saying, it's not that you didn't go out and play, but when we don't really have that much support and we live more safe. So we might hang out with our friends, close friends more, then join things and do. So it's just recreating that, like, maybe like I have a few selected friends and that's what I feel comfortable with. And Spirit's saying it's like, yes, but you don't realize that you teach people how much you give them. And it's always the point is to always give yourself more. You didn't do that. This person's coming back and thinking, well, I still have the option. Well, first of all, how fucking dare you think that you still have the option? That's disrespectful. Second of all, they're more afraid of the consequences that they're going to get than actually ever looking at what they did, in my opinion. And so there's a sense of still emotionally, obviously, you not getting what you needed. Any healing that you needed to do, you did it by yourself. So, you listen to yourself. Like, I feel like the guidance that you have is from the higher self. And that's the gift that you have, the gift from when you didn't emotionally get what you needed. If anything, you were suppressed. And that could have been like your parents' opinions were just, they overrid your opinions and you lived in their house. So, for the fear of God, you weren't going to, choose what you wanted to because, hey, you didn't have that type of relationship with your parents. You did what they wanted you to do, point blank, period. And that was it. Spirit saying, it's like, yeah. And then if you did try to do what you wanted to do, there was a little bit of, oh, that's not important. You don't need to join that. You don't need to. So not being able to like choose for yourself, and the overstimulation came from you being sensitive from having a parent that's oppressive. That's someone that steps on someone's head is obviously doing it forcefully. I'm not saying that that's what your parent did, but they could have the tone of voice, the way that they approached you, the way that it was oppressive. It didn't make you feel safe. You said, well, I know I have to like choose whatever they want because it's again, there's consequences and I don't want to deal with those consequences. So Spirit's saying it's those wounds of being able to see yourself strong when someone tries to come in and throw you off your track, because this person's coming in and it's all about them is what my issue is. And Spirit says that's obviously going to trigger old wounds that you have. So let's see what those old wounds are. well, Spirit's saying inferiority wound, which is it shows up as feelings of inadequate, self doubt, um, constant need to prove yourself, and I'm not saying that you would continually to try and prove yourself, but sometimes we try and come across like too perfect, too nice. Like whatever you do is not enough. And that's understand if you were brought around a parent that was that way, that no matter how well you did it, still wasn't enough. And then the feeling of inadequate. And now this person, in order for them to stay in whatever they was in, they would have to make you feel inadequate by not emotionally giving you anything. So it repeated that where, you know, see, and we see narcissistic abuse. For some of you, you were brought up like with a parent that came across a little bit narcissistic, which it's all about, them controlling you. Understand they could have had the best intention. They weren't really taught from a spiritual perspective back then. A lot of them were taught, I'm going to smack it into you. I'll scare it into you, like for you to do the right thing. I'm going to bully you into it. And so when you have that, that's a little bit narcissistic because it's also like this person's fear, this person's projecting, this person, but so it's not all the time done because the person doesn't love you. It's done because the person's afraid and they don't trust in themselves. However, it creates such a deep insecurity in the child that's being raised by someone like that because they're not reading it like that. So Spirit's saying that becomes the issue. So there, what really needs to be is forgiveness, because you might be like, my relationship has always been hard, and it's always been because of you, because you were never nice to me. You never made me feel secure. You never made me feel whatever. And like adequate. So it's the reoccurring karmic theme of not having control over your life due to like a narcissistic type energy, like a person coming in saying, oh, I like who you are. I like what you got going on. Let me now take over. And that's kind of like this person's energy, because we see they were all about themselves. They were all about themselves. And so they didn't take your feelings into consideration. They're still not taking your feelings into consideration. They're taking their feelings into consideration. That's why now they're uncomfortable, but they haven't shown anything. And so Spirit's saying, unless you want to go back into that energy, which you don't, because that's like going into like a karmic contract. And a karmic contract is when you're bound to your childhood trauma because you didn't learn it. So you're getting a person that's kind of keeping you there. And what we see is, again, they're narcissists are just, they're wounded people. They're wounded people that they emotionally didn't get. So they emotionally didn't get. And so it's all about them making sure that they get what they need. And they do it by, emotionally manipulating. And this person, they tried to strategize that whole thing there with that other person. And so Spirit's saying that's the issue. The issue is that they're coming back, they're going to try and, you know, overstimulate you, but understand if that's what happens and you take them back, it's a lot of like just karmic blockages. And those karmic blockages are lessons that you didn't learn. And so you're stuck in a perception about yourself, but it's mainly due to like not who you are, it's what that person is going to make you feel, is what Spirit's saying. So that's what a trauma bond is. So it shows up as repeating patterns of struggle, conflict, and just unhealed emotional wounds. So that's the issue. The issue isn't that this person, yeah, they're going through it, and they're going through it because they wanted to leave, and that karmic was like, no. And this person said, well, let me do this for you, let me do that for you, let me do it. And the karmic just kept saying, give me more, give me more, give me more. This person got more and more and more comfortable, thought, well, you're eventually going to come back. That's not what happened. Now they're not happy because they're like, wait, you're not coming back and I'm stuck with this person. It's like, yeah, but it was up to you to leave. You didn't leave, and you didn't care what was going on. And so that's what they showed you. And like, that's why I'm saying in a way, it's like they didn't care at all. They just cared about their needs. And that's how it feels to be with a narcissist. It's all about you making them happy, you doing for them, you making them feel a certain way so that they can perceive that they live in a reality that really doesn't exist. And it's a reality that's not pleasant for you because you don't have control over your life. And that's the thing. This karmic, you know, knew what they were dealing with this person because they had a lot of power in their life. So you better believe, the next relationship that this person gets into, they're not going to let the next person have that much power. That's why this person is chaotic in their life. That's why they don't know when they're coming back. That's why they're like, I like, please, like, send me energy that you to show me that you care, to give me hope. Please give me another chance. That's why they're like that, because they know that they don't deserve it. And they also know that they're coming back broken, and they're coming back, in a way where they didn't invest, and that there's a real good chance that you're not going to take them back. However, that's, to me, I feel like that's why they don't didn't come back beforehand, because they need the strength to leave that person. Again, because they really do feel like this is divine union, but this person, like I said, I just don't trust them. I feel like they have a lot of codependent issues. They tend to be wild at heart. They tend to be, so it's just someone that emotionally is not going to be there, is what spirit's saying. So the best thing that you could do is transmute that negative energy. Understand, you got already made the decision to get away. You're already away. You don't have to take this person back. They're going to try and come in and overstimulate you to make you like feel a certain way. It's how much you feed it, is what spirit's saying. And remember, if you grew up with a narcissist, that was that narcissist's favorite little trick, to make you overstimulated so you weren't able to choose really for yourself. So spirit's saying, first of all, the situation is happening so that you can learn how to go with the flow, like, meaning that no one has control over your life. Only you have control over your life. At one time, you didn't feel that way. So it's about navigating difficulties with calm and acceptance. Be at peace with yourself, learning how to be at peace. So don't let anyone overstimulate you. We have to go with the flow of life. And that's when we're focused on our passions for life. Spirit saying again, that second chakra is all about your unique individuality, who you perceive that you are. And it's by feeding that energy, which is why Spirit said in the beginning, you want to create new change for 2026. Join things in your community. It's like, see what's going on in your community and like participate in something. It's like, otherwise, it's the center focus is on work and this person and like other aggravations, is what spirit's saying. How do you deal with stress will trigger you into being overly stimulated and then not wanting to go out. And so spirit says that it works the other way. You go out to counteract the stimulation, the overstimulation, because now you're grounded. And whether that's taking a pottery class, going to the library and reading a book, spirit says, I don't care where it is. But understand, over time, you're going to meet people, and that emotionally is going to help you to also ground, to create that protection and the support that you never got, which is why a person gets overstimulated. It's like, oh my God, like it brings them back to that energy. Spirit says also take time out to tap into the higher self. The fact that you don't have a strong connection to God, and that's through the higher self. That's what I told you. Do the Silva Ultramind method. I told you that in the beginning of the reading. I said you got to get down to the theta level of your mind to relax, because everyone has spirit inside of them, but only in the now do you get divine guidance through gut intuition, inner knowing. Not before, not if you're like so overstimulated, you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? You're not going to know anything. Spirit says only in the now. So you have to learn how to deal with your stress We're seeing it all through the reading. And this person is coming back to bring in a lot of stress. And Spirit says a boundary. And you have to create that sacred space so that you get strong within your own discernment. Strength doesn't come from creating a strong environment. It comes from creating a strong you. This way you can go with the flow of life through the passion for life. That's what that poem Footprints is about. That you weren't in that craziness that they had planned for you. Your mind was on where you go and what you do and what you're creating. It's again, and you wouldn't know if you don't join anything, if you're not in your community, if you're just like an island to yourself. You have to participate in life. That's how you get to meet people. Join a fundraiser. Again, what is your passion? Do something, is what Spirit's saying. It's like otherwise you attract people like that. The Spirit says you got to envision brighter horizons for yourself. It's again, envision a future filled with potential and opportunities so that you can see your own genius. When you see your own genius, you're like, I'm worth so much more than whatever this person is. It's like coming in. And the Spirit says you would see it because other people would treat you that way. That's what helps recondition you, not just what you do with affirmations and getting a strong connection to the higher self, but actually from like how new people come into your life and how they treat you. And you get to see a different version of yourself, Spirit's saying, so that that when you do that, when you like feed what you need to do to feed yourself. Well, first of all, you're not in charge of how we get there, Spirit says. Everything happens in divine timing. The Spirit has a plan for everybody. It just unfolds while you're on it, the path. But if you're not going to be on the path, then a path will not unfold. You're the one. That's why they say God helps those that helps themselves. And as one door opens, another door closes, like as one door closes, another door opens. So it's like when the teacher is ready, the student appears. You're never in charge of how you get to the final destination. You're only allowed to say what you want to create, what you want to become. And you need to put your energy towards that using whatever is in the environment. So whatever is in your community, whatever is in your environment, and understand nothing is perfect. Only God's perfect. So like I said, you join things, you meet people. You join things, you meet people, you join things, one thing leads to another. It's like, are you moving you? No, your gut is telling you in the moment, in the now, you're being called to. You didn't even know, is what Spirit's saying. So divine timing, so that you could actually see limitless potential, that the only thing that's in that limits you is you, first of all, and that you can achieve great things, but you don't even really know 100% who you are. So if you're going to waste your time with someone like that, Spirit saying you don't know your worth. You don't know your worth. You don't see that there's a plan for you. You don't see anything. You're just like, I'm working on this fucking job that I don't like, or I'm like in this weird space that I don't like, and I don't see anything. So of course I wanted that emotional support from this person. Spirit said that's where you went wrong. It's like you have to put the energy more into yourself. You might be like, I work all the time, Spirit says, but there's other ways to promote your business or to like do things. It's like it's all about joining things, to becoming yourself, because unfortunately relationships is how we give and receive of love. But if the focal point is on what we're doing, what we're joining, what we're interested in, what we're passionate about, well, then a new world opens up, Spirit saying. But you have to feed that the way like ballerina every day practices dancing, how every day an Olympian practice whatever they're doing. Like a Spirit saying, is what you're feeding, is what you're growing, it's what you're becoming. And if there is nothing, then that's the problem. You're always going to attract people that always take and don't give, because there's a sense of you're like, well, I'm giving my love. I wanted someone to give me their love too. Spirit says, no, because you wouldn't give that much if you were fulfilled somewhere else. And me first, I'm a jealous God. That's through you first. Otherwise, you're not teaching people how you want to be treated. That's why this person thinks I can come back in and I can overstimulate you and get what I want, which has been a reoccurring pattern because Spirit's saying, you're too nice. You don't let people in, and then the people that you do let in, they have too much power. So Spirit's saying, you're too nice. It's like overstimulation. And that is what makes you feel like you can't have, that you're not enough. Again, it's like a gaslight when you can, but you're the one that's got to choose you. And Spirit says, and that's by your focus and becoming yourself. And then, like I said, you can have people in your life that say, well, I really wanted more, but this is all that this person's going to give me. And they're happy with that and they learn. And that's what's best for everyone involved. Because remember, in the beginning of your reading, Spirit says, whatever you do is going to be best for everyone involved. So, you do what's best, because it's like some people don't know what they do to sabotage the relationship. But when you are setting the boundary, well, you avoid any issue. And this is how you can go with the flow of life. It's like, because you're focused on what you need to do, not on what those people need to do. You're emotionally invested in you, not in somebody that might give you, is what Spirit's saying. All right, here and now. Spirit says, I want you to practice being present, being in the moment. The future does not exist and the past is gone. Focus on the present moment. Have confidence in life again, because here and now there is no danger. Everything happens when my soul is ready. So again, only in the now do you get divine guidance. And when we're present and in the moment and we're interactive in our own life, we're being guided. We're getting ideas. We're feeling emotionally connected to other people. And it doesn't really matter whether or not that person's giving to us. It doesn't mean that maybe we're not a little like hurt, but we're not devastated. There's not a hole in our heart. It's how much you give to a person is the size of the hole. One more, trust. Spirit says it's time to trust life and your own strength. Each moment guides you to the light. Everything on your path is placed there for your growth and for your healing. So Spirit's saying, this relationship was just here to help you heal, to see, hey, you know what? You are in charge of your energy. Yes, you're highly sensitive. Yes, that's a double-edged sword. It makes you feel inadequate. It makes you feel like there's something wrong sometimes, because again, overstimulation will do that. However, there's nothing wrong with you. Understand that when you're not balanced, that's what's going to happen. So Spirit says one way to become balanced is be here in the now and be in the present moment. Join things. That gives you enough of a boundary. Say, let me think about it. Or I don't know, I have somewhere else to go. That emotionally you're connected to somewhere else, because remember, people tend to overstimulate you by pulling on your heartstrings, by trying to make you feel guilty. But if you're doing what you know that you need to do, they can't do that. And that's the whole point, that you have control over your life. Sometimes people don't trust themselves, again, and that's a bad thing. So remember, trust comes from listening to the God that's inside of you, that's directing you in the moment, in the here and now. I'm going to leave that there. You let me know how you resonated. If you did, please give it a like, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.